Hello history lovers and welcome back. In the last episode, we covered the first 14 years of Anne Boleyn's life.
From a certain point of view.
Today, we are going to continue to look at the life of Anne Boleyn while she was in France and her return to England. On the 1st of January 1515, the King of France, Louis XII, very rudely died, leaving the throne to his cousin and son-in-law, Francois. Although, I'm sure that Mary Tudor, Louis's widow, is jumping for joy as she now gets to be with Charles Brandon.
Hubba hubba.
You're making me uncomfortable.
I mean, if Charles Brandon really did like this, whew! With King Francois's approval, Brandon married her heartily, in secret that February, in the chapel of the Hotel de Cluny, with only 10 witnesses in attendance. Brandon's 2 diplomatic companions were notably absent from the wedding, leading historians to speculate that Mary and Anne Boleyn might have been among those present during the ceremony. Now, I just want to say from a personal standpoint that although Pio and Henry VIII did mention about Anne being corrupted from an early age, I'm not 100% sure if that did happen. I believe that Anne was quite a pious person, and I think that she would have kept herself ready for marriage. But it's just something worth bringing up. Queen Claude was no stranger to the antics of her husband, and so kept a close eye on her female attendants. Among these attendants was Mary Boleyn, who had yielded to France's advances at an early stage. In stark contrast, Anne Boleyn resisted such temptations, instead embracing a path of dignity and grace. As one French poet, Lancelot de Cales, noted, "She became so graceful that you would never have taken her for an Englishwoman, but for a Frenchwoman born." Anne's sense of style was equally remarkable, as she effortlessly embraced the latest fashions with impeccable grace and poise. Her wardrobe choices and her fashion sense left a lasting impression on the French court, solidifying her status as a prominent figure within its glamorous circles. On the 14th of September 1515, during a campaign to secure Mila, King Francois I achieved a significant victory at the Battle of Marignano. That one. His triumph in Italy led him to a remarkable encounter with the renowned artist Leonardo da Vinci. In the course of his stay in Italy, Francois had the privilege of witnessing Leonardo's masterpiece, the fresco of the Last Supper, and even met the venerable artist himself. At this point in time, Leonardo was well into his 60s, sporting a bald head, long hair, and a distinguished beard. Now, when I say bald head and long hair, like he's bald at the top, he's got like long hair going down, I feel like Max from the Tweenies is like the best I can give you, but rather than the little short bits, it's like long. That's what I mean. In a testament to his brilliance, Francois extended an offer to Leonardo, inviting him to become the king's first painter, engineer, and architect. To the delight of the French court, Leonardo accepted the royal appointment and embarked on a journey to the north of France, bringing with him a treasure trove of his works, including the iconic Mona Lisa. By January 1516, King Francois was prepared to leave Milan and return to France. Some time prior to his departure, Queen Claude, accompanied by the king's mother, Louise of Savoy, and sister Margaret d'Angoulême, had journeyed south to meet the victorious monarch. Anne Boleyn would have been part of the Queen's entourage. The highly anticipated reunion between the royal ladies and the king occurred on the 13th of January 1516 in Provence. From there, they attended Francois on his triumphant progress back through France. In the same year, 1516, Leonardo da Vinci, supported by the king, took up residence in a splendid house known as the Manor of Clou, now the Château du Clos Luce. Oh, Jesus Christ. situated near the Chateau of Amboise. It just looks like Ambrose to me, like that rice pudding thing. Leonardo made occasional appearances at court, and since the 19th century, there has been speculation that Anne Boleyn was acquainted with Leonardo, possibly by sight. This conjecture is quite plausible, given her frequent presence at Amboise and Leonardo's close ties to the French court. Notably, Leonardo's residence was connected to the Chateau of Amboise by an underground tunnel, making it conceivable that Anne may have even had the opportunity to behold the beautiful, masterpiece, exquisite Mona Lisa. I actually thought the painting was alright. Nothing special. I've seen better. We're not really too sure what happened to the Boleyn sisters between now and 1520. It is highly likely that Anne continued on in the service of Queen Claude due to her own abilities, and her father Sir Thomas Boleyn's influence. Anne held qualities that would have been desired by both Queen Claude and her formidable mother-in-law, Louise of Savoy. Her father may have hoped that her placement there would eventually secure a wealthy and titled husband in France. Mary would eventually leave France, potentially at the beginning of 1520, as she was to wed William Carey on the 4th of February 1520 at the newly rebuilt Chapel Royal at Greenwich Palace, with King Henry VIII himself in attendance at the wedding. His attendance is a sign of his approval at the match. He may have even got involved himself. He did like to think of himself as a matchmaker. Henry then involved himself in negotiations for the marriage of Anne Boleyn later that same year, a sign that Henry hadn't eyed up the younger Boleyn sibling for himself yet. The Field of the Cloth of Gold took place from the 7th of June to the 24th of June 1520, and there is so much to talk about that I'm just going to keep it short and sweet. It was initially meant to solidify the friendship between King Henry VIII of England and King Francis I of France. But ultimately, it cost a lot of money, and it actually drove the two countries further apart.
I wish you could feel the love in this room.
I still hate you. Hate makes you ugly. Oops, too late.
After they parted, King Henry VIII pretty much went running to Charles V. So, yeah. Great success. Well done. I'm glad you spent all the money. Despite the elaborate preparations and festivities, the summit achieved little in terms of lasting peace between England and France. Henry's challenge to a wrestling match with Francis and other competitions took place, and Henry even had a lavish temporary palace brought to Calais. Among those present were Queen Catherine of Aragon, Queen Claude of France, Mary Boleyn and Anne Boleyn, who likely served Queen Claude or Margaret of Angoulême during the event. The Boleyn family played a significant role, with Thomas Boleyn proposing the meeting. Elizabeth Boleyn, Anne's mother, and her sister Mary Boleyn, now Carey, served as attendants for Queen Catherine of Aragon. Many have taken this to mean that they served Catherine at court, but this isn't the case, as it was just for this event. Anne's brother, George Boleyn, accompanied their father as part of his retinue of attendants, while Anne was the only member of the Boleyn family to be on the French side. It has been stated that, at this point, Anne had adopted a French accent after being there for 6 years, and was wearing the latest French fashions. While the event did not bring lasting peace, it left a mark on history, showcasing Henry's image as a Renaissance king. However, tensions between England and France persisted, leading to subsequent conflicts. The event's enormous expense and extravagance have led some to view it as a royal vanity project, or in my opinion, a complete waste of time. In the 1520s, Thomas Boleyn, sensing deteriorating relations between England and France, decided to bring his daughters back to England for their safety. To avoid raising suspicions with King Francis of France, Cardinal Wolsey provided a somewhat plausible reason by telling Francis that Anne needed to return home due to a potential marriage proposal, which, to be fair, did have some truth to it. Anne may have also returned home due to a family death, although I can't be sure of the exact date her elder brother Thomas died, but he did die in 1520, and this may have contributed to Anne's return to England. It wasn't long till negotiations were underway for Anne's marriage to James Butler, the son of Sir Piers Butler, who still claims the title of Earl of Ormond, much to the annoyance of Anne's father, Thomas. This suggests that Anne was the younger sister and her marriage plans were only considered after her elder sister had been married off. Regardless, the proposal was presented to King Henry, who promised to consult with Wolsey. The process took time, and actually by the end of 1522, Anne's betrothal seemed no closer. Ultimately, Anne's relationship with the king helped facilitate an agreement in 1528. Thomas Boleyn became the Earl of Ormond, and Piers Butler became the Earl of Ossory as part of the settlement. In this video, we've delved into Anne Boleyn's intriguing early life in France, where she served in the household of Queen Claude. From her arrival on the French shores to her participation in the grandeur of the Field of the Cloth of Gold, Anne's experiences in France played a crucial role in shaping her future. In the next video, we'll journey with Anne back to England, where she will become a central figure in the court of King Henry VIII. We'll explore her rise to power, her impact on the English Reformation, and her transformation into one of the most influential queens in history, and arguably most controversial. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend who shares your passion for history. And if you'd like to show some extra support, you can always give a super thanks. Stay tuned for the next exciting chapter in the life of Anne Boleyn, and as always, have a wonderful day.